Our next presenter is Rod Farrow. Rod is a lecturer in physics and computer science at the University of Technology in Sydney. He's done that for 12 years. Spent the last 20 years of his life working as project manager for major defence projects, including the combat system for the Collins-class submarines, communication systems for the ANZAC ship frigates, and Australian Defence air traffic systems. He moved to the Southern Highlands in 2000 and developed a 100-acre property in Manchester Square and ran a herd of Angus breeders. Retired from full-time work in 2006. He was president of the Mossvale Rotary in 2007-2008. Currently deputy convener of Climate Action Now, Wingecarribee. And he's here to talk about the local solar energy projects and the potential for major solar energy in the Southern Highlands. Welcome, Rob.
Well, good afternoon, councillors and delegates. It's been, I guess, my honour to have been the chairperson for the energy sector group. And whilst I heard that others had trouble with a small support, we had, since the economic summit in July, we've probably had meetings just about every week. And we've had up to about 10 attendees at each of those meetings, and we've had a significant amount of expertise within the group. It's always hard to mention individuals, but I would just like to mention two people, Manuel Silla and David Griffin, and these people had particular technical knowledge and experience in the area that we're talking about, and I'd like to thank them for providing their time. I think you will see that we, as a result of this activity, we have proceeded a significant way down the path. The energy sector group has been investigating the development of renewable energy power generators, and as it turns out, it's solar photovoltaic, solar PV. And there are three goals that we've been aiming to achieve. One is to contribute to a reduction in carbon emissions in the Shire. The second one is to seek opportunities in the development of renewable energy systems to provide employment and new industries in the Shire. And the third one is to attempt to develop a model for a solar farm that may be applied as a template elsewhere in Australia. And as a result of our activities, we have actually come up with three potential projects, and I'm just going to run through those quickly now. The first one is we're talking about putting a 5 megawatt solar farm on the land that's indicated here. That's for those who are not aware of what that is, that's the Boral Cement Works at Berrima, and that land is just abutting the old Hume Highway. The intention is to lease that land from Boral. The size of that is about 20 hectares, to put on a 5 megawatt solar farm, a tracking system. The system is referred to as, for those who are not familiar with the terminology, it's referred to as behind the meter. In other words, we would be providing the power directly to the Boral Cement Works. It wouldn't be going to the grid. And the cost, down the bottom here, the cost is going to be of the order of, in nice round figures, $10 million. Where's that money coming from? It's a good question. We would intend to try and get $7 million as a loan from the Clean Energy Finance Corporation. And then the other $3 million, we would endeavour to raise that from community funding. I'll talk a little bit about that later, because how we raise that money and how we organise ourselves is something that really in the group, that's the one area of expertise that we didn't really have. Just here I've mentioned that to give you some idea of what this means, what does a 5 megawatt solar farm mean? It probably doesn't mean much to any of us, except if you can say it's roughly the equivalent of powering 1,500 homes. So in terms of, reducing carbon emissions, what that's saying is we're taking 1,500 homes off the grid, no longer using black energy, i.e. energy that's come from coal-generated power stations. And the other thing is, of course, we talked about trying to provide some employment. Our estimate is in assembling this plant, we will be talking about of the order of 20 jobs for 6 months. So and of course there's ongoing work as well, but just for the installation of the farm, that's the sort of employment that we would be offering. Okay, so that's our first one, and where are we at with that? Well, we've had some pretty fruitful discussions with Boral. They haven't told us to go away. And more than that, they've invited us back again next week, and we're talking to a more senior manager. So it doesn't sound as though they're dismissive of the idea. And we are optimistic because we believe that the numbers that we've got and the models that Manuel has produced are showing that we can actually get a return on investment of 7%, and Boral would be paying this. We are providing this as the farm, and Boral will be paying us for the electricity at the same rate they're now paying for through the grid. So that's the concept. The next project is we're looking at putting again a solar farm. They're all for 5 megawatts, what we're looking at, but obviously we could change that. And this one is at the economic zone. I've drawn the economic zone there. For those of you not familiar with it, you should be able to pick up where we're at. This is that line going up there. The yellow one is Berrima Road, so it's coming from Mossvale going up to the past Ingham's and then past the Boral Cement Works. Now, what are we doing here? Cost is the same. This would be a 5 megawatt tracking system again. So we're talking about $10 million. We're looking here at, we're endeavouring to get a $2.5 million grant from ARENA. That is the Australian Renewable Energy, it's not authority, what is it, agency. And a $5 million loan from CEFC, Clean Energy Finance Corporation, and $2.5 million from community funding. That's the concept. I mean, those numbers are obviously able to be manipulated a bit, and we might even get more from CEFC if that's necessary. This is referred to as the lease of the land here is, we've just put a spot in there, just the 20 hectares, to give you an idea of how big that is in terms of the enterprise zone. Most of this is just, as I think most of you will be aware, it's just a farmland at the moment, and we would be looking then to, we could pretty much put this anywhere, although there are some considerations. That particular one is shown as being near one of the transformers, which may or may not be of any particular significance, but that's, we could really, we've got to find, as we'll discuss in a minute, land owners who would be prepared to lease this to us over a number of years. Gosh, has that gone already? This is referred to as a merchant plant. Doesn't matter what that means. The energy will be sold to the spot market, so going directly onto the grid. And again, we're going to be offering investors a 7% return on investment. The third one, which I'll go through very quickly, same deal, except this is something that we've discovered along the way, mainly through David Griffin's associates. This is a same thing, and we're just showing you another 20 hectare site. Could be anywhere on the economic zone. Gain in front of the meter, in other words, it's going onto the grid. The energy will be sold to the spot market. 7% return on investment. The only thing is, you notice here is the cost has gone up, and that's because each of these units that we're referring to, they're called $20,000 units. Each unit, in fact, there is a tax advantage for people to invest in these units, and that's what this is all about. We believe that the taxation department has approved this, so people get a write-off immediately of $20,000 on their tax. So we're looking at the big investors here, and what we're saying is that we get a $2.5 million grant from Arena. They seem to be receptive, I think, to that concept, and we're looking to raise $9.5 million from, if you work out 475 times 20k, I hope that comes to $9.5 million. We've done a lot, as you can see, over the last few months. But one thing we didn't really have in the group was we didn't have any real expertise on the finance side and how to set up an appropriate structure. I was obviously very interested in the talk by Alan Bramble, and we're going to have a further discussion with him about a co-op, or alternatively, it may be just a limited company, we don't know. But we believe that we could set up such an organisation, and they could be responsible for all three of these projects and more. So we're looking at to get somebody with some business experience, and hopefully there may be people here, and people with, I guess, legal and accounting skills to help us on our way. So they are the contacts. There are copies of this. These slides should be on the table out there. So if anybody has this expertise that we're seeking, we would be very interested to talk to you. Thanks very much.